Phillies with a big win last night. Now, you can look at it and say, well, we can evaluate the Phillies on what they are, and I want to do that in a couple seconds. But a big win last night. Key hits with runners in scoring position, including by Alec Bohm. He really needed it, as you heard the broadcast say. Bohm with a big hit was the key hit blow of the whole game. The Phillies got good innings from Luzardo, and I thought that Rob Thompson managed his bullpen very well last night. He got Kerkering for a couple outs. And then finally he used Romano, who's starting to come around, and Strom at the end with the matchups with the lefty. And he had to go to Alvarado there in that inning because of the left-handers. He's matching them up and not using a distinct closer. How long that will be successful remains to be seen. Now, Alvarado, I can tell you, he's throwing too many pitches. But we'll get to that in a second. Well, here's the big question with the Phillies. All right, and there was a story today in the Inquirer which pointed this out, which is what I've been thinking pretty much. As you know, at the start of this season, I said, I don't know. It seemed like this will be a little bit of a drop-off year. And you look at the Phillies, and really they're not changed in any way. They are the same team they were last year. Now, will that be good enough to win something? Sure it will be. But it's not like we – sometimes we try to look at a team and go, well, they're going to change their approach. They're not going to change their approach. They pretty much are what they are, or they are what we thought they were. And so we have to now go the rest of the season kind of trying to get used to this is what they are, and it's really not going to change. And I know that fans get frustrated every now and then that they don't do this or they don't do that. But this is a team that is pretty clearly defined on what they are. They are not going to change very much offensively. They're going to go through these slumps. They're going to have guys that are hitters at one point and then go through clear droughts. They have a problem in the outfield with outfield depth. They have a problem with the front end of the bullpen. And that's not saying they can't get it done. But I don't know where I am with this or what I'm trying to say. But I don't believe in them as much as I should. I'll say that. So let's, with that, on that note, let's bring in the cohorts. Bill Colarulo, Ray Dunn. Bill, I don't know what I just said, but I think I'm saying that I don't believe in them like I once did because you know me, when you keep running it back the same thing, I don't know if that gets you over the hump. Now, am I public enemy number one today?
I don't think that you are. I don't think you're public enemy number one because I think what you're saying, a lot of fans feel the same way. Is we've seen this movie before. The last couple of seasons, you've seen it. It's either feast or famine with this lineup, and unfortunately, it's gone famine at the worst possible times in the postseason. But I said yesterday, look, the stars have to show up, and they did last night. You know, Harper goes yard, JT goes yard. You mentioned it. You get the timely hit from Alec Bohm. But you're not wrong in saying that this is kind of what we expected. Now, things can be different, though, Mike, if Bryson Stott keeps hitting, if Max Kepler keeps hitting, if these guys can consistently get on base, and I don't know if Rob Thompson's planning on keeping Bryson Stott as the leadoff, but, I mean, that could really change a lot of things because now you have a completely different look with Kyle Schwarber protecting Harper. You got Schwarber in the cleanup spot, protecting Harper in the 3-hole. If Stott's able to consistently get on base, and if Turner can get on base in that 2 spot, I know it's a similar lineup in terms of personnel, but when you mix it up a little bit like that, maybe we can expect some different results. I don't know, but it's going to be, you got to get the timely hitting. They haven't been getting it until last night, but last night they come through.
Well, but the point is, are they capable of getting timely hitting all year long? And that's where I have to stop and think that, who did we think they were? Like you're stretching the envelope a little bit that they are going to be different. And you say if they keep hitting, but in my mind, they're not that type of team where those guys are going to keep hitting. They're going to hit occasionally, but a guy like Marsh. Bohm could be different, but a guy like Marsh isn't going to suddenly turn around and be a hitter. So what? Who wrote this story? It was
David Murphy.
All right, David Murphy wrote it. And he says 16 games into the season, they sure look like the same team they've been before. They score runs in bunches, and they don't score that way too. And that's exactly what they do. And then, he goes on to talk about the lineup. He goes, well, is there a hypothetical world where Bryson Stott starts driving fastballs while Brandon Marsh and Alec Boehm do everything they've done except with different results? Is there a world where Trey Turner turns back into the hitter he was 5 years ago and JT Realmuto reverses the aging curve? Sure, but it's only slightly more probable than the world where Johan Rojas gets a hit with men on base. You see, there's always these snags that come up in a lineup that it makes me hold back my optimism on whether they can actually get to the World Series.
Now, I understand. I understand the article, and I understand your position on it. It's just when you look at the lineup, some of the things that he writes in there, like Alec Boehm, pre-All-Star break last year, was phenomenal. I mean, 2 years in a row, 97 RBIs. So I've been frustrated with Alec Boehm and his attitude to start the year, but there is reason to believe that Boehm can get back to the all-star caliber player that he was pre-All-Star break last year, which would certainly help you. And then when he talks about Stott being able to drive fastballs, I mean, we need to see it against left-handed pitching. But Stott's been pretty good the last couple of games, and you have him at the top of the order there. If he starts hitting the ball the way he did 2 years ago, where people were saying he could be a 300 hitter, well, now that does add a little bit of an X factor to this lineup that you didn't have last year. You didn't have Stott at all pretty much last season hitting the ball well. It got to the point where he was being platooned in the postseason. So I think there is room for optimism. I mean, I do think there's room for optimism. I have my concerns in center field, but then let's talk about being optimistic about left. What if Max Kepler continues to be able to hit and not only hit right-handed pitching, but maybe shows that he could also hit left-handed pitching?
Well, you got a very small sample size of that.
You do, but
I mean, he didn't hit at all early in the season,
which was also a small sample size.
And the reason why Minnesota peddled him is because he didn't hit.
Now, and he was hurt. And look, I'm not saying that I believe all of these things could happen, but I do think that when you look at this team, yes, they're very similar to what they were last year, but there are some changes in personnel that could affect the outcome down the stretch. And certainly they're better in the starting rotation, in my opinion. I mean, Luzardo didn't have his best stuff last night, and he still does pretty damn well, and they end up winning the game.
All right, I got it.
There's room to be optimistic.
Pitching's going to have to carry him a little more because they are what they are, and they're not going to change offensively. They're pretty much defined. They're pretty much a blueprint of what they are offensively. So we'll just have to ride this whole thing. And let's bring in Ray. Ray went viral last night.
Yes, he did.
We'll talk about it a little later. But, Ray, you're a very astute observer of baseball. You just heard the crap that we put out there. Your opinion of the crap.
Of the crap?
Yeah.
Not crap. I think you guys are pretty valid in the idea that they are who we thought they were. And their flaws are very well defined. You know when you go into a game what about this team is going to frustrate you, what about this team is going to make you believe they can't do it, and why they should be able to do it. I think the pitching does have to carry this team, given the fact that their offense has the same flaws baked in as it does a year ago, and they're even worse against left-handed pitching with this lineup because when they went about addressing their outfield, they got a left-handed bat in the outfield, which still, to this day, boggles my mind. I can't believe they spent that money on Max Kepler, but it's whatever. I have to move past that.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that I keep coming back to is, like, you're just kind of I don't want to say we're in Sixers territory, but it almost feels like you're in Sixers territory, where you know that there's the upside of a team that can do something, but they have to prove it to you, and the only time they're going to be able to prove that to you is October.
All right. We'll rehash all this stuff. Today is General Knowledge Wednesday. Now, because we have not had a plethora of phone calls, we are still going to make you eligible because there's a really good prize today. The prize for General Knowledge is tickets to Wednesday and Thursday's Truist Championship. Chance to go to a pro golf tournament. It's at the Philly Cricket Club in Flowertown coming up soon on, May 7th? Is that when it is? May 7th? Yeah, I think it's May 6th. It's coming up anyway.
Yeah,
May 7th and 8th.
Correct.
And 9th and whatever. Two tickets to Wednesday and Thursday's Truist Championship. That's a pretty cool prize.
And we'll be there broadcasting Thursday.
Yes, we will. And so 610-632-0975. And if we get not an abundance of phone calls today, it's going to be Bill against Ray. And we get a phone call. The phone call will make you eligible for the prize, but you will either be on Ray's side or Bill's side. So this is a two-man competition today. Ray versus Bill, with the audience helping out both y'all. But the audience gets eligible for the prize.
I like it.
All right?
Ray's going down.
All right, and we will tell you what the subjects are after this. It's the Mike Missanelli Show on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Thanks for watching the video, guys. Appreciate you guys checking out things with the Mike Missanelli Show. If you want more from us, check out the playlist right here to get this one. Check out all the playlists. There's a lot to watch.